All right, let's talk about one of the greatest street food snacks of all time, the samosa. We all love it, but there's always that little voice in the back of our head, right? It's deep fried, it's carb heavy, but what does it really do to our blood sugar? Well, we're about to find out.
I mean, this is the big question, isn't it? You've got potatoes wrapped in a flour-based pastry, and then the whole thing is deep fried. On paper, it sounds like a recipe for a massive blood sugar spike. But is that what actually happens?
So, here's the setup for the experiment. 2 hot, freshly made potato samosas, served up with the classic chutneys. We're talking about 500 calories here, which is a pretty realistic portion for a snack.
Okay, so the samosas have been eaten. A continuous glucose monitor is tracking the data. What do you think happened? What was the spike? Take a guess. You'd probably expect a pretty big number, right? Let's see the results.
Get this, just 30, a 30 milligram per deciliter spike. Now, for anyone who tracks this stuff, you know that for 2 samosas, that is surprisingly, almost shockingly low. It's definitely not the blood sugar catastrophe we were bracing for. But a number on its own doesn't tell the whole story. It needs context.
Right, so how low is low? To really understand what this 30 milligrams per deciliter spike means, we need to compare it to some other common carb-heavy foods, things you might not even think twice about eating.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Look at this comparison. The 2 samosas clocked in at 30 milligrams per deciliter. 2 simple slices of white bread toast, that's a 50 milligrams per deciliter spike. And a Vada Pav, another classic potato-based snack, a whopping 54 milligrams per deciliter. That means the samosa spike was almost half of the Vada Pavs. This data basically flips conventional wisdom on its head.
So what on earth is going on here? Why would 2 seemingly similar snacks, a samosa and a Vada Pav, have such wildly different effects on blood sugar? The answer isn't in what you think. It's all about how they're built.
If you look closer, the filling is pretty much the same. Boiled potato, so that's not the variable. The real difference, the game changer, is the outer layer. The samosa is wrapped in a pastry made from refined flour that gets deep fried, while the Vada Pav is tucked inside a processed white bread bun.
Now, to understand why that matters so much, we have to quickly talk about something called the glycemic index, or GI. It's just a fancy way of measuring how fast a food makes your blood sugar go up. And here's the killer fact, the key to this whole puzzle. Oil has a glycemic index of 0. Zilch. None. You see, when that samosa is deep fried, the pastry shell soaks up a ton of that 0 GI oil. That oil then acts like a protective barrier, a buffer. It literally slows down how quickly your body can access and absorb the carbohydrates from the potato and the pastry. The end result is a much slower, gentler, and lower initial blood sugar spike.
Okay, so case closed. Samosas are the healthier choice, right? We should all be eating more samosas. Well, hold on. Not so fast. When it comes to nutrition, it's rarely that simple. That low initial spike is a fascinating piece of the puzzle, but it is not the whole story.
And here is the other side of the coin. This quote from the person in the experiment is crucial. The spike wasn't high, but it was long. It took nearly 3 hours for his blood sugar to return to its baseline. This points to another really important concept we need to understand.
And that concept is glycemic load. Think about it like this. If glycemic index is the sprint, how fast you spike, glycemic load is the marathon. It takes into account both the quality of the carbs and the sheer quantity you ate to tell you the total impact on your body over a longer period.
And here's the catch with samosas. They are a high-calorie, high-fat food, often referred to as empty calories. This combination gives them a very high glycemic load, so while the oil blunts that initial sharp spike, your body's still left working overtime for hours and hours to process everything. It puts your whole system under a prolonged period of strain.
So let's put it all together. What's the final verdict? Number 1. Yes, surprisingly, a samosa causes a much lower initial blood sugar spike than a Vada Pav or even white toast. That's a fact. Number 2, but because of its high glycemic load, it hangs around in your system for a long, long time, putting a strain on your body. Which brings us to number 3, the most practical advice. Portion size is everything. If you stick to just one samosa, you can enjoy it without completely overwhelming your system with that heavy, long-lasting load.
This whole experiment is a fantastic reminder that the simple food rules we hear, like fried food is always worse, don't always tell the full nuanced story. The reality is often way more complex.
It really makes you wonder, right? What other common ideas about food do we just accept without question? What should we look into next?